All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Alpha Obeisance channel. This is episode 7 of A Noob's Guide to Hyprland, my attempt at bridging the gap between power user and noob. That's not an insult to you. It's actually a jab at my son because he's a 14-year-old kid that saw me using Hyprland and wanted to deploy his own Hyprland build on his Arch Linux system. But unfortunately, Daddy's done most of the work for him, so he's going to have to learn something. And trying to get a 14-year-old to study something is like pulling teeth, you know? It's just next to impossible. So, with any luck, you guys are learning something from these guides. If you are, hit the like button to let my son know that he should probably watch and pay attention. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, in this episode, we're going to go ahead and dive in and do something I should have probably done a little bit sooner, but it is a playlist, so you guys can skip around as you choose. As long as you're following around, you're going to be able to configure this anyway. So variables are incredibly critical. It's fundamental to any build that's utilizing a variables configuration. So, in my attempt to create an incredibly modular, easy-to-use Hyprland build, I've segregated all of our configurations as previously discussed, and in key bindings particularly, we source our variables. So in order for any of these functions to work as you desire them to with the applications you desire them to work with, you have to modify your variables setup. So you've heard me talking about using the main mod or super key. In my case, it's the alt key. That's where you modify it. So if you want the Windows key instead of the alt key, you would type super. As simple as that. As soon as you press Control S to save, you will now have the Windows key activating as the super key. So next we've got default apps. Again, if we go back to key bindings here, and you can see you've got, $ terminal, $ file manager, and so on and so forth. That's where these are defined. So you got $ terminal equals, in my case, Tilix, one of the best terminals I have found in the past 5 years that I've been using Linux. And I'm not saying that on necessarily a performance or feature perspective, but everyone's geeking out about Ghost and Ghosty, and I can't get it. Like, Ghosty can't even do transparency, it can't do backgrounds, it can't do aesthetics, and you guys all know I'm an aesthetics junkie. So if you're an aesthetics junkie too, I highly encourage you to go check out Tilix. Go show them some love. They really need developers. I think the last time I checked in on them, they were actually asking for help in development, just helping support it. So definitely go check it out. It's absolutely feature rich. You got features, profiles, you got complete control of how you control or the aesthetics, from your font to colors and transparencies, unfocused dim. Like, there's so much aesthetic control over this that it's just, I don't know why no one uses this, or seemingly no one uses this. So go check it out. Go do it now. Anyway, moving on. We've got file manager. I've got mine set. When I press Alt E, it opens up Thunar, so you can set this to whatever you want, whether it's Nautilus, Nemo, Dolphin, you name it. Go ahead and do that. If you want to have both a GUI file manager, as I do here, and you also want to have a terminal-based manager, you would basically put your terminal name, -E for execute, and I use Ranger for my terminal-based file manager. So I've got that in there as well. If I press Alt-B, which I won't do because so many people cry about my wallpapers, but your browser is set here, you would put, Chrome, Brave, Firefox, what have you, right here. I disable GPU with Vivaldi. It seems I get a little better performance when I do that. Sorry for the elephants upstairs. They're running around my living room. Anyway, menu. This is the Wofi menu by default included with Hyprland, and it is set with the flag show drun. So when I press Alt space, excuse me, wrong button. When I press Alt space, it'll bring up drun so that I can search whatever applications I want, whether it's Steam or what have you. It's all right there. My text editor, I've got it set that when I press Alt-T, it actually opens up the Z editor, as you see here. Another application you absolutely must go check out. If you're still using VS Code, you clearly have not seen Z editor. I digress. So I've got it set. When I press Alt-T, it opens the text edit in my keybinds, which references Z editor or Zeditor, and I have it set to open my home directory on default. You may not want this, especially if you're limited on resources. The home directory can get rather extensive. I think the last time I opened up my home directory with my Z editor and I looked at the resources that Z was using in doing so, it was something like a gig. So that's a lot of files to be loading up right away. So keep that in mind. If you just want to open your Z editor, you just go ahead and delete that and you're good to go. Notes, personally I use Obsidian, so I've got that set there. If you don't want it, go ahead and delete any values you don't want. Now, directories, let's say this is where variables come in most handy for me personally, is I don't like having to type out variables or even copy pasting variables every time I'm writing a script. It's just absolutely inconvenient, and I am not a programmer, okay? I reverse engineer code. That's about all I do. I could not write code from scratch if my life depended on it, but I can tell you that I know enough to be absolutely goddamn confused as to why developers don't use more variables. Like, why don't you guys use more variables? I don't understand why I don't see more variable.confs in here, because it just centralizes everything, and I don't know why. Someone please make it make sense. So anyway, I digress. Instead of having to type out your directories for your wallpapers, this is where you would set it. And this is referenced for my well, for various functions actually. It works for my Wallpaper as well as my dynamic wallpaper switching. So go ahead and update this directory here to whatever you choose. If you're following along, I did not include my anime girls, so this path may be broken. I might have tried to fix it for you so that it uses the background you see here by default. But if I didn't, this is where you update it. So right here is the image directory underneath the parent parent Hyper directory, and this is where I set everything up. So if you want to add new wallpapers, you just do it there. And then once you've updated that, then you've got Hyperpaper. Now we will talk about Hyperpaper in a later video, but this is still going to be relevant. For dynamic wallpaper switching, once you've updated the directory path here for your desired wallpaper parent directory, all you have to do from there, since wallpapers H is referenced in this string, which runs this code here, or this string here, then all you got to do is change the name of the picture. So once you've got your pictures renamed in here and you save and reload your session, whether it's reboot or restart SDVM, it'll automatically update all of this for you. It'll load your wallpapers. It'll do all of that stuff. It'll dynamically switch your wallpapers based on workspace if you set your key bindings appropriately. And we addressed all of that in key bindings. So workspace key bind set wallpaper action. Again, this is just the string of execution that more or less controls my dynamic wallpaper switching, as you guys have seen in my devlogs. So basically when I switch bear with me here. When I switch workspaces on my normal environment where I got all my, anime girls and stuff, say I go to wallpaper 1 or workspace 1, it switches the wallpaper. I go to workspace 2, it switches the wallpaper, and so on and so forth. So this is where that's executed. My keybind on switching workspace calls DP1 paper 1 because I only changed the wallpaper on display port 1. Equals hyperpaper wallpaper, which is your command. It's telling hypercontrol is telling hyperpaper to set wallpaper on display here. So you're going to need to update this to your appropriate desired display. And then it's going to execute the variable wall1. Well, what is wall1? It's going to execute wall1, which executes wallpapers, grabs the directory, and then it executes your desired image. So that's how I've got my wallpaper switching set up. It's smooth, buttery smooth. I've had zero issues with it whatsoever. It has not affected my performance at all, but that doesn't exactly say a lot considering my hardware. So tinker with it, play with it, see if it works for you. If it doesn't, let me know. I'll try to improve it. So next we've got variables for Hyper lock, I do believe. I can't remember where I pulled these from, but we'll find out in another video. So these are your variables. They're a critical component to your build. I highly advise that you modify these to your liking. This is how you're going to get your default applications to launch with your keybinds. It's going to be how you reference your directories in later configurations, and it's going to be how you change your wallpapers based on your preferences. So if you like this video, smack that like button. Let my kid know you should be paying attention. I'd really appreciate it. Drop a comments down below if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or corrections. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video, and take care and God bless.